Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining in. The session is on passive investing in current market scenario. So, the passive mode of investments through ETFs is gaining ground in India, similar to developed countries. So, as per industry data, for the first time in last 5 years, we have seen that ETF's net inflow, which is around 66,000 crores, exceeded the equity inflows. So I believe the lower expenses and market polarization in favor of select large cap stocks, converging returns with that of to the large cap funds and investment by provident fund into equity markets through ETF route is the key reason for their rising in ETF. We do have Mr. Karandeep Manis today, senior manager Mirai Asset, who will explain us, in deep this product, and then we'll take a few question answers from you guys, and then we'll understand this. So over to you, Karandeep.
Thank you so much, Ritu, and thank you all the partners of Nirmal Bang and all of the members who have joined the meeting today. Thank you for joining on a Monday morning when the markets are not very friendly, behaving not very friendly. But yes, I hope we are able to add some value to all of you through this session. As Ritu mentioned that we are going to talk about passive investing. We're going to talk about ETFs in particular, and yes, obviously these are very difficult sort of times, unprecedented sort of times. I'm sure all of you are playing a very big role in terms of hand holding your customers, because this is the most important time, I think, for like we are having a lot of our communication through the digital route. I think it is very important for the advisors also at this point of time to keep the engagement with the client, specifically because these are difficult times. After all, the market is corrected more than 30%, and but as we speak, the market has come back also. So yes, there's a lot of data out there, and I'm sure you would have gone through a lot of data which shows a lot of negative sort of news. But I will try and cover more sort of the silver lining, in these sort of environment, and we will try to sort of highlight what we can do best, and what is in our control, because honestly, the COVID-19 situation, it's a medical crisis. So it's actually beyond our scope and beyond our control. And as we are seeing that the lockdown is also getting extended, so it's purely a medical crisis, and depends on as soon as we have a solution to this problem, which is long term and which is permanent, right? So till then, we will see that the markets are choppy and the markets are sort of range bound. So but what we will concentrate on is what is in our control. And on one side, when the market is actually fallen so drastically, it is, as Ritu mentioned, correctly mentioned, that it is very encouraging to see the numbers of the month of March, and I saw the mid-April numbers also. A very encouraging numbers. If you look on the equity side of mutual funds in March, actually was a number which was the highest in the last 2 years. So you can imagine that when there is fear in the market, and that is what we always preach and we advise our clients, that when there's fear in the market, the normal investor behavior which we have seen in the past is that investors exit and the numbers actually take a fall. But it is very encouraging to see actually in month of March and in April also, that the numbers are very encouraging, in fact are the highest, looking at the past data. So very it sort of it just shows that what a role of an advisor, and also our investors who are getting more and more prudent and educated now, that they are actually using this as an opportunity rather than running away from the market or exiting the market completely. Yes, obviously we have seen a huge correction, which means that there have been outflows, and obviously the invested community needs handholding at this point of time. And obviously the market has been volatile, but I think and especially in the broking community, I would say, whatever interviews I've been reading, whatever news, and whoever I speak to in the broking community, in fact, has been saying that they are working overtime, on the digital route. And because you guys are already, I think, आपका जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बना हुआ है वो बिल्कुल डिजिटल पहले से ही है. And it just has, the volumes have increased drastically. That's what has happened, because a lot of the physical transactions जो हमारे mutual fund AMC के पास हमारे पास, we have all sorts of distributors, and distributors who were totally reliant on the physical mode are obviously facing the brunt now. So I think the broking community has been has been at the forefront, in actually receiving the volumes also. Their businesses have gone actually up also. In fact, आप अगर अपने numbers आप देखेंगे, number of customers which have added in the last 1 month, 1.5 month, I have seen, no, I mean, I think there's a range of, at least between 50,000 to 1 lakh customers on an average. This is, month on month increase, which, has happened, mostly with all brokerage houses. So, actually, देखा जाए तो it is a silver lining. It is sort of, people actually have taken this opportunity to enter the market also. And actually अगर आप देखो तो it is a sort of a blessing in disguise for the broking community in particular, and added responsibility also, because these could be investors which are probably first time investors, or could be new, sort of fresh investors who are entering the market. So your advice at this point of time with these customers would be very crucial. So, I wanted to start with this note that, all the new customers which are coming into the market now, at these levels, and obviously at these levels, one is coming to, make some sort of, money out of the market, as everybody knows that, these levels are unprecedented. ऐसी अपॉर्चुनिटी बार बार नहीं आती है, पास्ट में भी हमने देखा है. तो बहुत ज्यादा रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, एडेड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है कि हम जो एडवाइस हम दें अपने इन्वेस्टर्स को, दैट शुड बी प्रूडेंट एडवाइस. एंड that's where we feel that the passive investing will play a big role, especially in the broking community, because you have the infrastructure, you have the demat accounts, and which is what is needed to invest into uh, a passive product like ETF. And then you have a product which is fairly risk averse, very low on risk, and gives you market return, which is what an investor needs right now. If you are part of the market right now, if you are in correlation with the market right now, I think that's what is best which can happen with an investor, rather to rather to take additional risk, and add parameters to your investment decision. Because अगर आप investment decision को ज़्यादा complex करते हैं तो ultimately the odds are maybe could be in your favor, could not also be in your favor. So on that note, I wanted to start the presentation. I have a small presentation. I will go through that very quickly. If you have any questions, we will take it after the presentation. And let me just share my screen so that it is viewable. So as we said that the future, and I think the future is already here, because right now जैसे हम आज की आज हम बात कर रहे हैं, it is totally digital. We are having these, I'm sure everybody is having these sessions where you're connecting with so many number of people across pan India. And it is all because of digitalization. It is all because of the digital route of the also investment advice also, and investing also. So that's what we believe, that the future of investing, ETF is going to play a big role in this. And just to give a, I want to start the presentation. I'm sure a lot of you would already be knowing about the basics of ETF, but just to start the presentation and talk a little bit about the basics, uh, and just to compare it with a mutual fund, not because of any specific reason, but only because mutual fund is a product which most of us are versed with. हमें पता है म्यूचुअल फंड के फंक्शनिंग के बारे में. Most people are knowing about mutual fund, and that's why we're just keeping it for comparison's sake. So ETF, as we know, that ETF is a product that is listed and it is traded on the exchange. So it is available on exchange. So its treatment is just like a stock. सो एज अ ट्रीटमेंट ऑफ अ स्टॉक, आप जैसे आप एक्सचेंज पे उसको ट्रेड करते हैं, वैसे ही आप ईटीएफ को ट्रेड कर सकते हैं, बाय सेल कर सकते हैं. उसकी कोट्स भी आपको वैसे ही दिखेंगे जैसे आपको स्टॉक के दिखते हैं, क्वांटिटी भी वैसे ही दिखेगी. सो all those factors which we keep in mind while we are buying a stock, the same factors are applicable to a ETF as well. So factors like liquidity, factors like what is the market depth, factors like what is the spread between the buy and sell quote, all these factors are the same in the ETF product as well. As we can buy any amount in a stock, we can buy 1 unit also, we can buy 10 units, 100, any amount of units. Similarly, we can buy any amount in ETF as well, which gives it एक advantage देता है ETF को कि you can buy it, like you can buy a Nifty 50 ETF for, let's say, 94 rupees right now. So 1 unit will only cost you 94 rupees, right? In which you're getting all participation into the Nifty 50 stocks. So very minimal amount, and very जैसे हमारे म्यूचुअल फंड में मिनिमम टिकट साइज होता है, उससे भी मिनिमम है ये. So very low on the unit size, or the minimum ticket size. And then the price obviously of an ETF. Now, how we have a concept, or the calculation of the intrinsic value of the portfolio in mutual funds, which is the NAV. The net asset value is the proper price of the portfolio, which is released on a day end in the case of a mutual fund. Similarly, in the case of ETF, we have INAV. So INAV is basically nothing like, it is exactly like NAV. The calculation is the same. The only difference is that it is calculated real time. इसकी calculation real time होती है, and which makes it possible that you are able to book a price which is real time, right? So there's no other market, there's no other product in the market which actually gives you participation in the market through a product which is giving you real time pricing, right? So this is the only product which will give you a real time price, will will give you the advantage to get into the market at a price at which you want. And so that's what one of the advantage of the ETF is also. Um, as is very important in an ETF product, is that ETF is basically based on an index. This is the basic of an ETF, that the product itself is based on any index which is available in the market. Okay, so which we also call benchmark. So benchmark हम इसलिए बोलते हैं because that's a benchmark for the mutual fund product, or a benchmark for the another PMS product, or any other product. So that's the benchmark, but ultimately it's an index, right? सो इंडेक्स को अनदर चीज, हम जब भी हम मार्केट को ट्रैक करते हैं तो इंडेक्स को ही देखते हैं, राइट? हम अगर हम आज बोल रहे हैं कि निफ्टी 50 has fallen by 5%, that means the index has fallen by 5%, right? So nifty 50 is a very popular index, sensex is a very popular index. These are all indexes which are covering a certain portion of our market, right? So if you talk about Nifty 50, that's an index which is covering 50% of the 50 top 50 stocks of the market, right? So but if you look at the complete universe, let's say Nifty 500 is an index. Now Nifty 500 consists of top 500 stocks, which covers 96% of our markets. Complete market is actually part of the index. That means. So an ETF is based on an index. As long as there is a publicly traded index available, आप उस पे ETF बना सकते हैं. ETF बनाने का काम AMC करती है, but index बनाने का काम index जो manufacturers है, जो BSE और NSE हैं, वो करते हैं. और आपने एक बार उनके साथ एक इंडेक्स फाइल कर दिया, तो then you can make an ETF on that, and the objective of an ETF is just to replicate the index. Okay, so we will delve into this going further. The portfolio of the ETF is also exactly the same as an index. So portfolio is exactly same weightages. The objective of the ETF is to perfectly replicate the index. एक बहुत एक बहुत बड़ा पैरामीटर है ETF का कि this I would say is probably the cheapest product which gives you participation in the capital markets, at this point of time. इससे ज़्यादा, there's no other product in which, the built-in cost in the product is, lower than, I mean, you can compare it with any product in the market, because you can see that, average expense ratio of an ETF in the probably in the Nifty 50 category is just about 8.08 8 paisa, so which is very low. I think, there's no other product which gives you participation in the capital markets at this cost. So becomes a very good proposition for our investor. All the money basically is getting invested into the market, and the AMC is not charging, it's basically, close to charging nothing actually. So that's on the cost bit. And आप देखिए जैसे हमारे stock में, there's no exit load, right? So similarly in ETF also, it is, you can buy and sell at any point of time, and there's no exit load. And it's only the trading cost which the investor has to bear, but otherwise it's just the similar, as how you have it in a stock. So going forward, if we have to talk about the ETF industry, or the ETF infrastructure, if we say, or the backbone of ETF industry, so then you have to talk about four players which are very important, which is, as we mentioned, एक की हमने बात करी, index developer, which is BSE or NSE, the AMC obviously, which is the manufacturer, authorized participant, we will talk about the authorized participant in detail, and the exchange. So index developers से start करते हैं. Index developer is obviously BSE and NSE. In India, we are only allowed to make an index with the with the PSU companies, or the government-owned companies like BSE and NSE, not the private companies. Globally, actually, even private companies like Standard and Poor, S&P, MSCI, INDXX, there's so many companies actually in the private sector also, with whom you can file an index. And once the index is there, you can make an ETF. But in India, as per the regulations, SEBI regulations as of now, you can only file an index with the BSE and NSE, and only they are allowed to make the index as of now. So that's why they are very important. And any ETF, if you have a new idea also, let's say I want to make a new ETF. An ETF is basically, you have couple of rules, and you make the portfolio as per those rules. So that means you have made an index. And if I want to file that index, I can file that index with BSE and NSE. So that's the only choice I have. But going forward, I think this space can get a little deregulated, and SEBI might allow one or two private players also in the future to make their own index, and then ETFs to actually be made on those indexes. AMC obviously, is responsible for functioning of that ETF in a proper manner. So ultimately, it's a pool of fund. So we have to manage that fund in the most prudent way. Obviously, our aim is to replicate the benchmark. That's the aim of an ETF, which is basically the objective of the AMC also. So it's our onus and it's our responsibility that we replicate the index in the perfect manner. Okay, so that means that all the deployment of all the cash which is coming in happens in a very prudent manner, so that the benchmark is completely replicated. So that's the job of an AMC, that all the purchase, all the redemptions, all that can happen in a very smooth manner. I will also talk about that, how you can actually buy an ETF from an AMC also. So we will talk about that in the future. Um, Authorized participant is something which is a very important pillar in the ETF industry. Authorized participant is also known as something as market maker also, you would have heard. So let's say, you have a new ETF. A new ETF is launched into the market. Just for our understanding, we are taking an example. So what is required? Let's say it is, listed on the exchange, and as soon as it is listed on the exchange, if I need to buy and sell on the exchange, I need some bit of additional or pre-existing liquidity in the market, right? I need people to buy and sell my ETF, so that, more people can buy and sell, right? So there has to be a third party, which basically adds that, bit of liquidity in that ETF, so that from the time go, that means from the time the product is launched, from that time itself, we have enough number of liquidity, so that any amount of, orders can be, can be executed, and both buy and sell can happen seamlessly, right? So we don't have to be waiting for the artificial, I mean the real liquidity to actually increase, but we can do that by artificial, sort of liquidity, with through a third party which we appoint. So it plays a big role in providing liquidity, and providing liquidity at a time when markets can be very volatile. So recently also you would have seen that when maybe a retail participant would not be comfortable buying and selling, but still you have to provide liquidity. I think a role of a market maker is very important. The role of a market maker is, in another parameter, very important, because the price which he provides on the exchange. So, or whatever price you're, seeing on the exchange, if that price is not in correlation with the INAV which we spoke about, then obviously there's a problem, that means, right? So a market maker also ensures कि जो वो price वो provide कर रहा है exchange पे, that is closest and the nearest to the INAV, so that the price which you find on the exchange is not incorrect, is not very different from the INAV, because ultimately ETF is a portfolio and it has a INAV, and which is the correct price. So a very important factor for a market maker is also to provide the correct price on the exchange. Okay, so we will talk about that, in the future also. Exchange obviously is where, the buying and selling happens. So exchange, a client, yeah, aapke, you get the access to an exchange through, a broker. So that's where you can, buy and sell the ETF. So as we spoke, how do you trade an ETF? And one exact, method, most obvious method is that, you as we spoke, that I'm sorry, that the market maker, initially, let's say a market maker is supplying liquidity on the exchange, and the investor comes on the exchange and buys, whatever amount of ETF units the investor wants to. So basically, market maker, what a market maker normally does, I will just, explain what a market maker is doing. A market maker is coming to the AMC and buying the ETF in the ETF lot size. Now that's something which we will talk about. Uh, so that's what a market maker is doing. A market maker is buying ETF in the lot size and then supplying liquidity on the exchange in any, unit size. So basically, an investor, the advantage which an investor gets is that investor can buy in any amount in any units from the exchange, whereas a investor which directly wants to invest with the AMC, with the mutual fund, has to buy again in the lot size. So AMC basically can only sell an ETF in the lot size. Now, what is a lot size? A lot size is it's called the creation unit size, and that is, variable for each index. For example, Nifty 50 में 50 स्टॉक्स है, और 50 स्टॉक्स के अलग अलग पोर्टफोलियो वेटेज हैं. तो जैसे रिलायंस है वो 10% पे है, HDFC है 11% पे है, एंड सिमिलरली अलग अलग स्टॉक्स अलग अलग परसेंटेज पे है. परसेंटेज का मतलब है कि उनके नंबर ऑफ स्टॉक्स कितने हैं उस इंडेक्स में. So when I have to perfectly replicate the index, what do I do? I have to buy those stocks, each and every stock, in the same quantity as it is in the index. So that means I have to buy the same number of stocks, and their prices, each stock price is different, as you know. So a stock of HDFC, the price for this HDFC stock is very different from Reliance, is very different from Nestle, is very different from P&G, right? So ultimately, I have to buy those number of stocks in those prices and then completely replicate the Nifty 50 portfolio. So for that, I need a minimum number of cash with me, right? Then only I can buy those number of stocks, and those number of stocks have a different price. So then I need a, a specific minimum cash size for that trade to execute. So that creation unit size is basically, as I mentioned, it is different for different indexes. For Nifty 50, for example, for Nifty 50, the creation unit size is 50,000 units. So any large investor or any institutional investor who wants to buy can buy one lot, which is 50,000 units from the mutual fund company, the AMC. And the 50,000 units means what? 50,000 units means one unit is what? 94 rupees as per the market, price right now, 94, 93 rupees. And 94 rupees into 50,000 units is, let's say, 45 or 46 lakhs. So if an investor has 45 lakhs, or has, in the multiples of 45 lakhs, so that means in the multiples of lots, one lot or two lots or three lots, so that means 45 lakhs or 1 lakh, about 90 lakhs, or, in the multiples of that, then he can come to the mutual fund company, and then we can give him one lot or two lots of ETF in totality. But what a market maker does, a market maker buys in lot size from the mutual fund company, but supplies liquidity in any units, right? He's supplying secondary liquidity basically in the secondary market. So this is like primary market when you buy, from the mutual fund company, and then the trading happens on the secondary market, where you can buy in any amount. You can buy one unit, you can buy, any amount of units. So that's the advantage you get on the exchange, that you can buy in any amount size, in any unit size. But if you have to come directly to the AMC, you have to buy in lot size, which can be cumbersome because the minimum amount increases in that case. Okay, so these are the two ways to actually invest into the ETF. Moving forward, if we talk about, what are the types of ETFs, there are several kinds of ETFs. If you look at the global markets, in fact, there are such niche kinds of ETFs, as I mentioned, that as long as you have a portfolio, and you can make a portfolio on anything, like how we have in India, we have mostly the most popular indexes are on the market cap based, right? That, it's basically on the free float market capitalization on which the indexes have been made. And that's how we judge the top 50 companies, and that's how we made the Nifty 50 index, right? So Nifty 50 index mein kya hai? Top 50 companies as per the market cap. And what is market cap? Market cap means that the most amount of buying has happened in these stocks, and that's how the market cap is increased. So that's why it's a no brainer. So that means these are the top 50 companies of our capital markets. Similarly, you can have sector ETFs also, right? You can have a ETF on consumption, you can have a ETF on banking, you can have a ETF on pharma, you can have an infra, any sector. And we know the companies which fall on those sectors, there are indexes which are already there with NSE and BSE. You can construct an ETF on that also. There are thematic ETFs also which are gaining a lot of traction. Themes like ESG, I think, especially in times like these, when we are facing a huge crisis. um, uh, I think earlier also governance was one of the factors which, we were laying a lot of importance on, and that's where ESG theme has picked up a lot of traction. Because ESG is basically three parameters: environmental, social, and governance. So as long as a company is, basically what the index does is that it rates companies as per three parameters. उनकी रैंकिंग होती है, उनको एक स्कोर मिलता है, और उसके हिसाब से ये पोर्टफोलियो बनता है कि कंपनीज विच आर स्कोरिंग वेल आर and are also are in in good rankings, in the top rankings as per the environmental, social and governance factors become part of the portfolio. So similar, these are themes, and there are so many numerous themes which are coming. There is a Sharia theme also, which is available. So many themes are there, mostly are available in the global markets where the ETF industry is very mature. uh, there are ETFs, in fact, in the Indian markets which give you participation in the global markets also. So those are called global ETFs. So you can, while you're sitting in India, you can invest in US markets, you can invest in Hong Kong markets through an ETF. So an ETF basically can give you exposure to any asset class. You can buy a gold ETF also, right? So you have a debt ETF also now. You have the Bharat Bond ETF, right? So it gives you exposure to all asset classes. It gives you exposure to foreign markets also. So you have a Motilal Oswal Nasdaq 100 ETF. You have a Reliance Hang Seng Bees ETF, which is basically the giving exposure to the Chinese market. So specifically, there are institutions which buy regional ETFs, which actually give them exposure to markets like emerging markets, or developed markets, or specific geographies also you can cover. So Asia Pacific has one ETF, EAME has one ETF. So these are advanced level of ETFs which can be used by institutions also. There are different strategies also, like a fund manager you would have heard uses different strategies in their portfolios. But strategies are what? Strategies are basically, these are rules, right? A value company can be judged on a different rules than a growth company, right? The basic change is that your rules change, your parameters change, and as long as it is quantifiable, you can make an index on that, and as long as you have an index, you can make an ETF on that. So you have ETFs which are based on value, based on growth. You have smart beta ETFs. Now smart beta ETFs are also gaining a lot of popularity, because they have parameters like quality, momentum, minimum volatility. So these are basically a portfolio of, let's say, minimum volatility will have companies which have very low volatility, right? So, and you can combine these factors also. So something like a low vol can be combined with, let's say, growth. So if you like growth companies, but you do not want कि उसमें ज़्यादा volatility हो, so then you can look at an index like that, which basically has companies which are growth companies with low volatility. So combination of factors can also work in that. If we talk about global ETF market, as we spoke that the ETF market is very mature. In fact, if you look at the AUM size of the passive markets in comparison with the active markets, it is actually bigger in terms of AUM size. So we have already crossed about $7 trillion in the AUM size, in the passive side of the investments. Okay, which consists of ETFs, it consists of index funds, it consists of all the passive instruments. So it just goes to show, and you compare it, you just go 10 years back and you see the numbers, and it is only close to, it's not even 1.5 trillion dollars. So you can see the amount of growth which has happened from 1.5 trillion dollars to $7 trillion in just about 10 years. So this product has really created a disruption, in fact, in the global financial markets. In fact, if you would have followed the rescue packages which have been given by the US Fed recently, you would have noticed that most of the investments actually which they're doing is actually into ETFs. That's how they are pumping liquidity into the system. And they are, what Fed is going to do is that it is going to buy ETFs, and it is going to buy bond ETFs, it is going to buy high yield ETFs. So ultimately, even the Fed has started buying ETFs, and this is for the first time this has happened. So it just goes to show the popularity and also the kind of trust the institutions have on this product. And institutions, as you know, will only invest into a product which is very risk averse. So that also goes to show that how what is the risk profiling of this product also. If you look at the Indian ETF market, as initially was mentioned by Ritu also, that the Indian ETF market has also grown. If you just go back 10 years, we were hardly about 5,000 crores industry, and now we are close to about 1,50,000 crores. These numbers are as of March end. So the growth has happened rapidly, but yes, government again is playing a big role in this. A big chunk of the money is coming from the apex PF body, the provident fund body, which is EPFO. So, all of our PF money. So, if I ask anyone that are you a ETF investor, and most, people might not be having investment into, ETFs, but you must be, your PF must be with the EPFO. That means you are a ETF investor, right? So, the EPFO has been given a mandate that, ranging from 5 to 15%, they can choose to invest into ETFs. And that's why you will see that as of now close to about 60,000 crores is actually from EPFO. Okay, so huge sum of money. And again, as we see that EPFO money, see, I mean, EPF money is very important to us. It is the most safest corpus which we keep, and it is going to be used for our retirement. But that money is also getting allocated in the asset allocation. The ETF product is also there, so one can make out that what is the risk profiling for this product, and how you are getting the advantage of equity market without taking much risk. So EPFO has played a big role in the AUM of the ETF industry. Second is obviously the disinvestments which the government has done through the ETF vehicle. So all the PSU companies which have become a part of the CPSE portfolios or the Bharat 22 portfolios, the Navratans, which we have. So all these PSU companies, basically, if the government objective was to increase the private participation in the PSU companies, and that's how it came with the disinvestment program. And that's how a good amount of subscription by institutions and retail has happened into CPSE and Bharat 22 portfolios also, right? So good amount of money has come from that avenue also. But if you actually keep both of these aside, then you have the retail money. Mostly if you talk about the retail money, would be in the broad market ETFs, would be in the Nifty 50, Next 50, Bank Nifty. These three Nifty ETFs are the most popular ETFs, where you would see the bulk money of the retail participants, right? So moving forward, as Ritu had also mentioned initially, why the popularity now in the retail segment is also growing, because now there is data, and data cannot be argued with, that most of, especially if we compare apples to apples, and this has happened after the recategorization which was done by SEBI in October 2018, that after that recategorization, that your investment universe is sort of fixed. Now if you compare with the benchmark, you would see that it is getting more and more difficult on the active side to beat the benchmark, which is the index itself, right? So that data again is glaring, because on the active side you're paying, maybe you're paying a higher cost, and you're basically relying on a third party, on a fund manager, on an AMC, to actually generate that alpha. But on the contrary, what is happening is that the index itself is generating an alpha, right? So and you're not, I mean, in this instrument, you hardly pay anything. So this data is out there, it is available. uh, I'm sure now this data, a lot of the investors also would be seeing this data, and what they are paying, and how much is actually the outperformance. So this question can come from anywhere, and that's why I think more and more distributors and also our partners, even the investors, are getting more and more aware that what is actually the value add which I'm getting out of the extra cost which I'm paying. So this is one factor. One factor again which we are seeing, and where ETFs actually play a very big role, especially in the volatile markets which we have seen recently also. And this is maybe for the more experienced investor, which you can advise also. As we spoke about making an alpha, you can very well make an alpha through an ETF for yourself also, if you can make use of the rapid movements in the market. Like today, the market has fallen, let's say 500 points, 600 points at this point of time, but let's say the market ends flat. you know so what happens if you invest in any other portfolio today on the active side? You will get the day end nav, and the day end nav is calculated as per the day end price movements of the stocks, underlying stocks. But if you're able, and the only option which gives you to invest real time is ETF. And if you invest real time, like let's say right now, you are able to make that extra 1% or 2% right now itself. You know so we have actually seen that more and more such opportunities have actually come in the market, and we are seeing more of it. So last actually 1 year data, if we are seeing 68 instances have happened where actually market has closed 1% higher than the day's low, which just goes to show that these opportunities are coming more often now. And it is happening more often that, the day's low is very different from the market close. So timing has also become very important. So just talking about the advantages of ETF, first of all, obviously it is low cost. As we spoke, the built-in cost is very low. There is no exit load. Also, if a lot of people say that, in spite of an index, I can buy, let's say, the 50 stocks, I can buy, all those 50 stocks separately. But then again, you will be paying, let's say, higher trading cost for all those 50 stocks. Or even if you want to buy 20 stocks, you're shelling the trading cost 20 times. अब 20 दफा आप ट्रेडिंग का कॉस्ट आपको देना पड़ेगा ऊपर। और फिर दूसरी एक और चीज है कि अगर आप निफ्टी 50 स्टॉक्स या कोई भी आप इंडेक्स की बात करते हैं, कि आप स्टॉक प्राइस कैन बी वेरी डिफरेंट फ्रॉम द इंडेक्स प्राइस or an ETF price. Now there are some stocks like let's say Bosch or let's say Nestle. Now एक single stock आपको पता है कितने का है. It is 10,000, 12,000, 14,000, 16,000. So एक आपको शेयर लेने के लिए आपको मिनिमम एक सम चाहिए, right? Whereas in Nifty 50, you are getting participation in all the 50 stocks in as low as 93 rupees, right? So here again, cost is something which plays in the favor of ETF as compared to, let's say single stock also, or even, or on the active side also. Performance, we have seen that yes, it is getting more and more difficult, to beat the index. Liquidity की बात करें तो, as long as you have a very prudent market maker, there should not be any problem of liquidity. So liquidity is ensured by the market maker. And like let's say in our case, I can tell you that Mirai Asset, we have our own market maker, in-house company, which is Mirai Asset Capital Markets, and they ensure that liquidity is provided throughout the trading hours and even on very volatile days, and the price which they quote on the exchange is closest to INR, so that they are able to replicate the index movements very accurately. Because आपने कभी कभार देखा होगा कि market let's say 8% डाउन है, बट ETF 4% ऊपर है. सो ये तब होता है कि जब आप मार्केट मेकर नहीं है और प्राइस इज गेटिंग डिस्कवर्ड बाय द मार्केट इटसेल्फ. So that can happen because if everybody is buying into an ETF, so that you and me can also decide the price, but that is not the correct price. The correct price is obviously the INAV, because ultimately it's a portfolio. So that the market maker ensures कि जब वो large quantity में liquidity provide करता है और ऐसी price पे provide करता है, तो ultimately ETF की pricing भी सही रहती है. One more thing, I think one more misconception which we see in the market is कि ETFs are considered कि are very static portfolios, कि आपने एक बार invest कर दिया तो ये तो index है, ये तो बिल्कुल static है. But this is actually, it is the reverse. It's a big misconception, because it is a real time index. In fact, the movements in your portfolio, so that means the stock percentages, the portfolio weightages are actually changing on a real time basis. So as soon as you've bought a Nifty 50 ETF, now every stocks percentage in the portfolio is changing, as is changing in the index. So usme, like how we appoint a fund manager, and what does a fund manager do? He basically adds weightage in the stocks where you have conviction, or he reduces weightage in the stocks where he does not have conviction. Similarly, in the market, whichever stock is actually getting bought, उसकी weightage बढ़ती रहेगी, ultimately आपके portfolio में भी बढ़ती रहेगी. एंड सिमिलरली जो स्टॉक का परसेंटेज घट रहा है वो आपके पोर्टफोलियो में भी घटता रहेगा और इंडेक्स में भी घटता रहेगा. सो कंप्लीटली इन कोरिलेशन विद द मार्केट. द ओनली डिफरेंस इज there is no fund manager, but market itself is your fund manager. That's what we try to say, that in ETF you don't need to appoint a fund manager because the fund manager is the market itself, and that's what happens. So there's a lot of active in passive also. Actually, there's more active in passive, and also it does not give you any additional risk. In any active fund, in any other product, you are taking additional risk in terms of which AMC, which product, which category of product, which fund manager, what is his style of investment, what is his, you have to understand so many things, you have to get into details, and that's basically adding parameters to your investment decision. बट अगर आपको सिर्फ मार्केट रिस्क लेना है, बिकॉज अल्टीमेटली कोई भी इन्वेस्टर का इक्विटी में अगर वो पार्टिसिपेट करना चाहते हैं, हिज एम इज टू पार्टिसिपेट इन द कैपिटल मार्केट, गेट द मार्केट रिटर्न फर्स्ट, and especially markets like these where you are anticipating the markets to recover and come back to its original level. See, it's a matter of normalcy. Obviously the situation looks very gloomy right now because अभी कोई permanent solution नहीं है, but let's say we are able to come out with a vaccine for the virus, right? How quickly the market will recover, how quickly there'll be so much of positivity around, also in the businesses, and at that point of time all you need is the market return, right? Because that's probably the best participation you can have, because sometimes what you see is that the market has recovered, let's say 8%, 10%, but the portfolio has only moved of the investor by 4% or 5%. So that's also one situation where investor comes back and says that market has moved so much, but my portfolio is probably not moved by the same. So especially as we spoke initially, that the new investors who have come in at this point of time, I think the best thing which we can do for them, and that's what I recommend in some of the strategies also which can be appointed by especially us, is that we activate these customers with the help of an ETF, because it is a product which is low risk, it is easy to convince, it's only giving you market risk. It is also very important, or can be very well used with clients which are probably dormant in nature also. Probably clients which have probably burned their fingers, or have not had a very good experience earlier, probably in the equity segment. Probably they were only buying single stocks. So for somebody to actually lower their risk profile and actually take a product which is less risk, then can come into the ETF also. On a day-to-day basis, I think in any asset allocation we are seeing that ETF should become part of the active recommendation also. So like there's a asset allocation which we do. In that we have a core portfolio, we have a satellite portfolio, right? So core portfolio right now will obviously be invested with the objective that it is a long term portfolio. Let's say I want to invest for 10 years, 15 years, and in 10 years, 15 years, you want to only, if you are able to get the market return, that's good enough, rather than go with here and there. So you can design your core portfolio with ETFs, and then obviously take calls specific to as per your understanding, as per your sort of expertise. You can take satellite portfolio calls as well. Also, I would say that even for the business partner, as we have a revenue a product line, we can have a separate product line for ETFs as well. It just adds to your kitty of products which you're offering to your clients, right? So that's another advantage which it provides. Ritu, do we have some more time, or should we sort of quickly wrap up, because otherwise I can take few more examples.
It would be better if we can wrap up.
Okay, okay. So, I just
Karan,
wanted to,
okay.
yeah. I got your point. So I'll just quickly wrap up. I'll just show a couple of slides and then we can quickly wrap up. Uh, so, I just wanted to take few examples that, in ETFs, if you have to invest, and let's say we spoke about, the new investors coming in, what is the best, method to invest and which are the best indexes to invest? So, obviously, as we know, the large cap segment is something is a segment which is more sort of covered in these crisis sort of environment, because these are the companies which are obviously the largest, so they have more cash reserves, they have more they have the ability to raise money. So the turnaround by these companies can be far quicker than some of the lower market cap companies, because they might have a higher debt level, and then to service that debt level they will have to raise more money, which will come at a higher cost. So we a lot of the money which is probably exited also has actually exited from the institution side. And as we know that institution side only invest in the large cap segment, so the a lot of the money which is on the sidelines now, which is into cash, which is into gold, has to come back, and it will come back into the large cap segment, as we know, because that's where the money is actually exited from all the foreign institutions, pension funds, trusts. So Nifty 50, if we look at all these crises which have happened in the past, also let's say 2008 global financial crisis, 2011, when the markets also fell, you have seen that Nifty 50 has fell 51%, 23%, and like these times also we've seen that it's close to about 30%. But we've also seen that the next year has been fairly positive, right? So Nifty 50 has actually given a very good recovery in the the subsequent year, in all the instances whenever it has been negative in the calendar year. Right. So that's something which we should reflect on. Obviously, there are no two doubts about whether it is a correct time to participate or not. There is so much correction. We can, so the way you can invest into Nifty 50 is through an ETF, and we have an ETF which is Mira Asset Nifty 50 ETF. You can on your trading platforms, if you look for Man 50 ETF, that's the ticker, and that's how our ETF will pop up, and you can check it, you can track it. I will request you if you can put it in your watch list. So that's something which you can put in your watch list and track. And then you have the next 50 sort of portfolio. I wanted to touch upon this portfolio as well because it is very interesting. uh, like how we have Nifty 50, it is sort of polarized. You only have financial services, mostly private banks, into Nifty 50, and large cap funds also. If you have invested in large cap funds, they are fairly similar to Nifty 50 portfolio. But a Nifty Next 50 portfolio is actually very different. The highest percentage, the orange bar you can see, is actually given to consumer goods. And in financial services also, you can see this, it's mostly insurance companies. This is the breakup of financial services. So even though it is 29%, but 16% out of that is only insurance and larger NBFCs and HFCs. Right, so very alternate sort of exposure. Pharma companies are also far more in the Nifty Next 50 portfolio, and these are basically stocks which are probably the blue chips of tomorrow, is what we say. These are companies which have probably had a very good IPO, but and or maybe have graduated from the mid cap segment, and then probably are on their way to move to the Nifty 50 segment. Even the portfolio weightages you can see are not as polarized. Just about 5% is the highest percentage of a stock in this portfolio, right? So very interesting portfolio. Again, if you see at the calendar year returns, Nifty Next 50 also fell in 2008 by 63%, which is more than Nifty 50. However, it actually recovered by 130% in the subsequent year, right? So this is, and if you compare it with mid cap also, it gave returns more than mid cap, which is the blue line, right? If you compare it with 2011 also, it gave 31% negative, but then came back the next year, giving about 50% absolute sort of return. So similarly, right now also we see it. It's not fallen as much as the other segments, and that's why we see that this segment is actually a very good segment. And this segment actually you do not get into a active fund. None of the mutual funds actually have Nifty Next 50 as a benchmark. And if you know that, if because portfolio is normally hugging a benchmark, if there is no portfolio or no mutual fund actually having a benchmark as Nifty Next 50, there is no other way actually you can buy this portfolio. So ETF is actually the only way you can buy into these companies. We have a product which is Mira Asset Nifty Next 50. The ticker for that is MAN XT50. So I'll again request you if you can add that to your watch list, MAN XT50, and you can probably track it. Uh, just a little brief about Mera Asset globally in the ETF market. We actually are very big in the global ETF market. Just to give you an idea, we are managing about $140 billion in complete AUM in all the various assets which we have. But in the ETF segment itself, we are managing $39 billion, which is more than about close to about 30% of our portfolio. So, we are actually operating under different brands in different geographies. So, in Canada, we are known as Horizons. In US, we are known as Global X. In South Korea, we are known as Tiger ETF. In in Australia, we are known as Beta Shares. But these are all brands which are owned by Mira Asset Global Investments, which is the holding company. And in India, in Brazil, in Colombia, we are operating under the same holding company, which is Mira Asset. So just to give you an overview that we have just got started in India. Our Nifty 50 and Next 50 products are the only products which we have, but we are planning to launch a lot many products in this segment. And as we have built our, I think, our track record and our faith and trust in the mutual fund segment in the last 12 years. It has been 12 years now for us in the Indian markets. I think with the same thought, we have started the ETF market. And that's how we discussed that why we have so much conviction in this product. As the broking community is also increasing, I think if you look at the broking accounts also, and if you compare it with the mutual fund folio account, I think there's a steep difference. And the folio count is actually on the decline, whereas the broking accounts are on a steep increase. So lot of factors which actually indicate towards indicating that the ETF is a product which actually is a very low risk product. It's a digital product, right? And it's a cost effective product, and it's a very simple product which gives you market return and does not you do not have to take any additional risk. So our job of an advisor also becomes very simple. And I think in your asset allocation, if you have one of this product, or if you advise this product probably to an investor who is coming in newly, who's a fresh investor, I think his investment journey starts with a good experience, less volatile experience, and that helps in relationship management, obviously. And then obviously a more matured investor can diverse into different products. So that's what I had to share today. And I'm happy to take questions, any clarifications, any doubts you have. I hope the session was helpful. Over to you, Ritu. uh,
Yeah. Thank you, Karandeep. It was a very great insights on ETFs you have shared with us. I am sure it would be very helpful to my team. Uh, just I would like to take few questions.
sure, please.
Okay, so just to understand this ETF thing on a better way. So first of all, as you said that market makers are or market makers plays a very important role in ETF as a product. So so recently we'll talk about we have seen that market actually has moved up drastically. So from there, how market makers actually, help ETFs to keep price intact with the, related to NAV kind of a thing. So can you
Right.
just help us to understand that a little bit brief, because we have seen lot many ETFs actually was trading on premium,
Correct.
and
Correct.
that too
Sure.
on a good margin.
Sure.
So
Sure.
how the retail investors or the investors or the advisors can
Sure.
select better ETF?
Sure. I think it's a very good question, and I had also mentioned in my presentation that this has happened, and that's where actually a role of a market maker is very important. So that, see, this typically happens when on a very volatile day, the market is swinging up and down, and a market maker is not present. Okay, so a market maker, just to give you more insight, a market maker is also a third party, right? Institution, right? So an institution, is also, what does a market maker do? It is basically supplying liquidity. It is basically having a naked position in the market, right? As I can also sell that amount of units at a certain price. Similarly, a market maker is also selling a certain amount of units, which is actually a huge number of units at a certain price. So which is basically a naked position, right? So that means that there's a risk which the market maker is taking in the naked market, in the current in the real time market, right? So typically a market maker is hedging the same position, whatever it's taking on the exchange, it is hedging that position also, so that it is risk averse, so that it is able to manage that risk. But that is under a normal circumstances. That is under normal, if the market is not behaving very volatile. So that ways it is able to hedge whatever position it is taking in the naked market. Okay, so that's how a market maker works. But let's say the market is very volatile on a day when market is very volatile. So what happens now, because the market maker is also a third party, you only have so much control. So what happens, sometimes a market maker refuses to participate in the market, because at that time he can also incur big losses, and those losses will not be covered in the, the hedging which he's doing, because it is very difficult to hedge a market which is so volatile. So on those days, then the market maker is basically absent. Okay, so that's when the ETF is then controlled by the retail participants. And in the retail participants, then that it is basically supply and demand which is coming into play. So any ETF which is into a lot of demand, there is supply, and then the prices can go up from whatever the trading prices were earlier. So then the market is falling, but the ETF is going up. So that is a classic case actually of a market maker not being present, and that's why I highlighted that a lot. Because let's say in our case, because the market maker is an in-house company, which is Mirae Asset Capital Markets, we had more control on the company. Because it is a group company, it is supporting us. So even if it had to take losses, but it supported us throughout the volatile days, and it was present every day, all the time, during the trading hours, refreshing the quotes at a real time basis, providing the price at the price, totally replicating the index. So, very good question. Actually, good that you pointed it out, because if you see the data, and I have the data with me, how we have been able to replicate the market because our market maker was present. So all the trades which happened ultimately happened at a price which is replicating the index price. That's what the market maker does ultimately. But if the market maker is not there, then that means that the price discovery will happen by itself, by the participants, and that can go above at a premium or at a discount also sometimes. If the market is up, it can go at a discount also sometimes. So it can go anyway. So that's where the market maker being present is very important. Another thing I would like to add to that is, typically a market maker, because again, as we speaking so much in detail, a market maker is into the business of market making, is supplying liquidity for the AMC. So what it does is it also adds there's a spread also attached. So whatever is the INAV, the ultimate price which you see on the exchange, it will have some market making spread also. A market making company is a third party, and obviously they are into the business of they will charge some spread, they will make some money out of this business, right? So that's what any market maker would do, that there is some spread which is charged, and which is not visible in the market price, but if you compare it with the INF, then the spread is sort of visible. It can vary, from market maker to market maker. It can be 20 bips, 40 bips, anything. But in our case, because again the market maker is a group company, it is supporting us in the ETF business. They are not charging the market making spread also. So basically, an investor, the price which he will get if he comes to an AMC, but he can only come if he buys in lot size. But the price he will get INAF from the AMC, same price he is getting on exchange, because the market maker does not add any spread. So the same investor can buy in any units on the exchange also, but still get the same price, because normally an investor has to do a trade off. If he has to buy in any unit size, in any small unit also, then he has to pay a little extra, because that's the spread which market maker is making, because that's the risk he's taking on himself. But typical but in our case, it's a special case, because it's a group company. They're supporting us in the ETF business. As I mentioned, we have a global franchise, we have this infrastructure, and that's what we have done, that we've created an infrastructure, a backend. Uh, that's how we have been able to provide a price which is as good as cost price. So two factors where market making is very important.
Uh, thanks, Karan. It was a great, understanding about, because we have seen like lot much mismatch in NAV and the actual ETF prices which is trading into the market.
Correct.
Second, I would like to come on the directly on the Yes Bank issue which has happened. So, how AMC or the ETF as a product deal with these kind of things, because that is somewhere brings some doubt in investors' mind, because though it was a nifty 50 company, but it's still this the entire episode of Yes Bank has happened. So
Right.
how nicely, what is the way AMCs actually can manage this?
Right, right. Yes, again, very valid question, and something which we have seen very recently happened. A Yes Bank sort of an episode has happened purely, on the factor of governance, and that's where probably index has not been able to capture the governance bit of the company, right? Because we purely look at, if you form an index and if it is based on market cap, then obviously we are looking at whatever is the buying and selling happening in that stock. And if the financials are good enough, obviously that stock will become part of Nifty 50. If it is not a large company, then maybe it is part of some mid cap portfolio, mid cap index. But yes, this was a bank which was heavily bought, which had very good conviction, not just from the point of view that it was in the Nifty 50 index. It was present in most of the portfolios on the active side also. But yes, we saw this incident. And see, typically what an AMC does is that in especially in the ETF, as I said, that the objective of the ETF is to replicate the index, and that's our job, that's our fiduciary responsibility. As long as a stock is part of the index, we cannot make any changes to the portfolio by ourselves, because this is not an active portfolio, this is a passive portfolio. We have to follow the index. So there was a lot of pressure, if you remember, on NSE and BSE to exclude Yes Bank, right? So normally any exclusions actually happen either at a quarter end or at a 6 monthly rebalancing which happens. Okay, so that's normally when the exits or the entries happen. Unlike, I mean, uh, uh, the only exception was this, that that if such a event occurs, or if such a sort of situation arises, then only an exit can happen in between also. And which is what we saw, that on I think 18th of March, uh, the Nifty had NSE had declared that Yes Bank is out of the Nifty 50 index, and it didn't even go to Nifty Next 50 or mid cap. It was just out of all the indexes, right? And so basically, it there was a lot of pressure on the index companies to exclude this stock, because there was so much of selling happening in this stock, and the rebalancing which was supposed to happen, it was supposed to happen on 31st March, which is the quarter end. But because it was a crisis sort of a situation, it was excluded on 18th itself, and that's when it came out of all of our portfolios also. So all the ETFs also on 18th itself, on the same day when it came out of the index, the same day it came out of the ETF. So that's how we try to replicate the index as correctly as possible. Okay, and yes, such a situation is quite, harmful also for a product. But, measures are taken that any event like this happens, as quickly as possible, it can be excluded out of the index. And and before that also, actually, in Nifty 50, the Yes Bank market cap had decreased so much that the weightage of Yes Bank was 0.2%. So earlier, when the percentage of Yes Bank was 2%, because the market cap was constantly decreasing, the market cap in the portfolio of ETFs also and in the index also was 0.2%. So just that the exclusion wasn't happening because the NSE had to take a decision, and that's what it did on 18th. Otherwise, it was just about 0.2%, because that was the selling, which, as I said, it is a very active portfolio which is managed by the market. So when the selling happened in Yes Bank, and that's how the portfolios, or whoever would have invested in an ETF, there in their portfolio also Yes Bank percentages had dropped 2.2%. So it was not as if it was making very huge difference. But yes, of course, the exclusion had to happen, and it was an ad hoc event, and which it happened on 18th of March.
Very quickly thought on ETFs exposure in clients portfolio. How do you see advisors can fit in ETF as a product in clients portfolio? Because recent past we have seen, like, lot much talk about, because of less alpha in large cap. So why to pay 2 and 2.5% cost to active managed fund on the large cap space? That is what investors should look at ETFs. So what is your thought process, and how advisors can fit in ETF in clients portfolio?
Right. So yes, very good. Question again. And Ritu, as I mentioned previously, also, I think every asset allocation which we do it with some objective, right? There is some money which we invest for very long term, and there is some money which we probably want to take a little extra risk with, and there's some money which we want to invest with, let's say, a targeted tenure, let's say 5 years or 7 years, right? So we all have a goal which is attached to whatever investment which we do in asset allocation, right? And in that, I think, as I had mentioned earlier also, ETF is a product which it is sort of a product which can, you can, an investor can invest into this product with a very long term, view, with a very long term sort of tenure, where, you see, ultimately anybody who's taking exposure into the Indian markets has some sort of conviction that ours is a market which will perform in the long term, right? We have been the fastest growing economy in the world, and that's why so much of foreign money also comes to us. And if we are talking about reaching 5 trillion economy in some in whatever time, obviously the top 50 or the top 100 stocks will go to a certain level, and you will see that amount of return in these stocks. So what I'm trying to say is that the core portfolio of any of any investor can be made with ETFs. And what it also does, it actually acts as a benchmark in your portfolio itself. If you have, like, I have a ETF in my portfolio, every time I have to rate any other product against the performance, or if I have to just judge the performance, I have a benchmark product in my portfolio itself. And what it does is it just adds that bit of stability in my portfolio. And I also know that I'm not paying anything extra for this money to actually create that kind of wealth out of this money. So I would say that it should find a space in the asset allocation as per the goal of the investor. Okay, and if the goal of the investor, I'm sure everybody invests for the long term, for their retirements, for for horizons, anything which is close to 10 years or more than that. I think one should invest in ETF, where you're getting market returns, where the portfolio is very dynamic, where the companies keep changing, but you are part of the top 50 or top 100 portfolio. So I think makes a lot of sense over there. And then obviously, you can additionally, add it with, different products also. So I think that's my submission about asset allocation.
Thanks, Karandeep. That's all from my side.